Clarence Thomas yesterday decided to step in and protect Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from having to testify in front of the Georgia special grand jury convened by a district attorney for Fulton County, Fanny Willis. Now, this is only a temporary stay. The prosecutors in Fulton County have until Thursday to issue their response. They get to tell Clarence Thomas why they think that Lindsey Graham should be compelled to come down here and testify. But things are not looking good in terms of getting Graham to actually testify, especially now that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is the one calling the shots, even though for very obvious reasons he should have recused himself and not been the one to rule on this case. Now, Thomas, of course, does have jurisdiction over the state of Georgia because each justice gets like their own little area. That's where Clarence Thomas has. So yes, he was within the realm of his jurisdiction to do this. But ethically speaking, because his own wife attempted multiple times to overturn the results of the 2020 election, he should not have ruled on a case about people trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Literally any other judge on that court didn't have the same kinds of conflicts as Clarence Thomas, so any one of them should have been the ones to rule on this. Now, having said that, there's a lot of big question marks with this particular case. This does not mean that Lindsey Graham is not going to testify. All this did was it issued a stay on the lower court, the 11th Circuit's previous opinion that said that yes, Lindsey Graham has to go and testify. So again, Fanny Willis and the prosecutors have till Thursday to submit their response to the Supreme Court. Once that happens, the Supreme Court's going to look at it. They're going to issue a collective ruling. There's still time for Clarence Thomas to recuse himself from that. I don't think it'll happen. I'm not holding out any hope, but it could happen. So I got to throw it out there, of course, as a possibility. But Lindsey Graham, as we all know, has been trying to argue that the phone calls he made to the Secretary of State, to the governor of Georgia, asking about fraud and all that stuff, he says it's covered by the speech and debate clause. He says, listen, I had to vote on certifying this state, so I need to know if it's real or not. And if that is his legal argument, I think on those merits he wins, unfortunately. Look, you know me, I hate Lindsey Graham, but he would win on those merits. Unless, over here on this side, the prosecutors are able to prove that Lindsey Graham was not working as a member of Congress when he made these calls. He was doing the calls on behalf of the Trump campaign. That would not be covered by speech or debate. And that would be something that he would have to come and testify about. And I think the funniest part of all of this, and something that we all have to remember, is that Lindsey Graham is not a target of this investigation. He's a material witness of fact. So, for somebody that is not facing any criminal charges, fighting so desperately to not have to tell these people what they know, kind of tells us everything we need to know, right? I mean, obviously, the legal system can't make any assumptions, but we're not the legal system, so we can make assumptions. And I am assuming that the reason Lindsey Graham is fighting this tooth and nail is because, of course, he knows that he did some things that he probably shouldn't have, but probably wouldn't get charged for. But he was also witness to things other people did that they definitely could be charged for. That's why Lindsey Graham is fighting this so hard. And of course, that's probably the biggest reason why Lindsey Graham needs to be forced to testify. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.